have you ever asked yourself, what's my calling? What's my purpose? What's the right path for me? I know I have, and I struggle with that for a while because so many times I get caught up in what I should be doing and what I thought everybody else wanted me to do, and I didn't realize it, but a lot of my unconscious programming was dictating my life, meaning I was filtering my perceptions and points of views on what I believed my family wanted me to do. And, even at a younger age, even when I was told like who I should be, there was something got instilled, even though I didn't agree with it, something got instilled in me that created this fear response that if I don't do that, then I won't be accepted and loved. And it doesn't matter, we grow up, but we still have that running in our subconscious and our unconscious or whatever, and it's still filtering our points of views. Even though we think we're making conscious choices, most of the time we're not. Most of the time we're still wanting mommy and daddy's approval if we didn't get it when we were younger. Most of the time we still look out there for relationships. A lot of times we fall in love with somebody like, oh my God, this is the best experience because we finally got the love and attention that we wanted from mommy and daddy, but it's really not what we're wanting, but it's what we think we're wanting. And people may call this a trauma bond. I just call it an experience that we're having. And, most of the time it doesn't work out, or it does work out because we get great lessons and great healing in the experience if we're willing to do the inner work. And that's key for anything, because every experience is going to bring up something for us. It doesn't matter. You can try to protect yourself, try to stay away from negative people, try to stay away from negative situations, but eventually we have to deal with that stuff. It's like we can live in protective mode our whole life and say, I'm going to be around this person, I'm not going to be around that person because that person triggers me, that person doesn't. And it's like, as long as I can control my reality, I'll be okay. But the thing is, you can't, and you never know. And somebody can walk down the street and look at you in a weird way, and all of a sudden it activates this trauma response because maybe somebody did that to you and then they smacked you or something like that. So all this is going on unconsciously, and it's great to bring the unconscious to our awareness, and that's what happens. Like, say for instance, if we're triggered, instead of having that reaction, kind of take a deep breath, go within, and just be with that part and ask that part what it's feeling and the meaning it's putting to this experience, because everything stems from meanings, and the meanings we created when we were younger, we keep filtering our perceptions and points of views through those meanings, and that's why we have trigger responses. So many times, people will be in the same situation and one person will be triggered and the other person will be like, it doesn't even faze them. That's because we all have had different experiences when we were little. And the most important thing is to be aware when that happens and come back, because what a trigger is, it's an automatic regression. We automatically regress back to the unhealed part of us that experienced something similar, and it's being activated and it comes up and we were like, I don't know how to deal with this situation. And, our emotions take over and we react or we respond. It's another protective mechanism that happens automatically. And we don't heal our triggers by blaming the other person. We don't heal our triggers by running from the situation. We heal our triggers by being with that part of us in a compassionate and loving way. And this is probably going to be ongoing throughout our journey. It gets less and less. I was writing this morning and something came through me about, how intense feelings are at the beginning of our healing journey, because we're finally feeling things that we suppressed for so long. And it comes up. It does get easier, I promise you, because I've been through it myself. It's like, it's really intense at the beginning and it gets overwhelming. That's when a lot of people tend to suppress and numb and go back to either an addiction or overeating or something to escape that pain, or get on the internet and social media or whatever. And some people get triggered on social media, some people don't. Some people, use it as a high. There's so many other, everybody sees the world through their own points of views, and we all have different ways of coping, and whatever we learn along the way to cope, that becomes our way of being throughout life until we actually become more conscious of it. And addiction is really not about the addiction, it's really not about the food, it's the whole rituals around it. A drug addict who does cocaine, there's a whole ritual around it. There's the chopping, there's the snorting, there's a whole ritual around it. For me, I had a whole ritual around food, and and the way I ate it and the time I ate it and the exercise I did after. And it's like, it's a way to control our reality so we can feel safe, so nothing else comes up that we have suppressed down. I used to be busy 24/7, so I wouldn't have to face any of that. And doing that for so long, you know, it was intense when my feelings first came up. I literally laid on my couch and my whole body shook and my heart would race and I would sweat and I literally went into a panic attack. And why? Because I was just having feelings. But that's what happens when we suppress them for so long and we finally allow them to come to the surface. And you know, this isn't true for everybody. This is my experience, and I've had clients in my office literally lay on the floor and just cry, and it's such a good thing. Crying is a good thing. If you're crying, it's a good thing. You know, so many people are like, oh, I shouldn't be crying. I shouldn't get upset. Why? If you're upset, you're upset. You know, acknowledge that part. Don't just push it aside and say, oh, I shouldn't be upset right now. If you're upset, there's a reason why you're upset. It's your little child saying, hey, pay attention to me. I need you to understand me right now. I need you to be with me right now. I need you to hold me right now. I need you to allow me to have my tantrum or do whatever I need to do to get this energy out. A lot of times when we wanted to have a tantrum when we were a little kid, me, I was either punished or scolded or, you know, it's like, stop that right now, or I'll give you something to cry about, you know, things like that. You know, all that stuff damages us. It damages us, and you know, our parents don't know any better, so don't get mad at your parents, even though we do. You know, if you still are holding on to any anger or resentment, I would suggest do some forgiveness work, because that is key. You know, even for ourselves, you know, forgiveness work is what sets us free, and we're not forgiving the person per se. You know, people say, oh, I'm not going to forgive that person. It's really not about them. It's about forgiving ourselves for buying into some misunderstanding that we bought into about ourselves because of that experience. And that's where healing takes place. You know, a lot of us have these core beliefs about not being good enough, about not being worthy, about not being lovable. I had all three. I also had I don't deserve to live. You know, I had all those going on deep inside, and that's what was creating my life. That was creating self-destructive behaviors. That was what was creating addictions. That was what was creating everything about my life, which I hated because I was carrying all this stuff inside. And until I did my healing and started unraveling that stuff layer by layer and being more compassionate, loving with myself for how I was feeling instead of judging myself, soon enough, I started living more free and living more in the love. And, you know, that's the freedom. That's our true essence when we're living in the love. We talk about 5D, right? So 5D is living in love. Oh, I can't love that person. Okay, well, if you want to lift your vibration, just start loving. I'm not saying deny your feelings. If you don't love them, honor that part of you. Bring that part into the loving. Let it dissolve or transform into the loving. And then you'll see with loving eyes and have more compassion for people who are angry, who are bitter, who are screaming at you or whatever. Doesn't mean you take it. There's a whole difference there. You know, it's like a lot of people say, oh, hey, Deb, you know, how can you be so loving with everybody? And it's like, okay, that doesn't mean I take abuse from people. You know, it's important to understand the difference between loving someone and accepting their or not accepting their behavior. You know, you could still love somebody and not accept their behavior. And love is the essence of our soul. It's everything about us underneath all the conditioning, all the hurts, all the pains, all the traumas, all those things. So anyways, I hope this video inspired you in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways or another. Feel free to reach out for support if you need. I am over here. I believe in you and I love you.